Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Carmonscloset. I'm Alicia, and we're back for another review. Not Power this time, How to Get Away with Murder, Season 6, Episode 1. This is one of my absolute favorite shows on television. I've been watching for the past, since the beginning. So I'm invested in this, and I was like, oh, it's the final season. My friend mentioned it to me, so I decided, you know what, let's just do it. So usually there's probably like 7 or 8 episodes, maybe less than that or more than that. And then we go on a winter break. And then the show comes back on in January. And that's when shit really gets real. Yeah, let's just get started. So basically we get a scene where Annalise is in a casket and it's her funeral. And everybody's there, all the students, Bonnie, Frank, everybody's there. And then we get a little bit older Christopher is pointing a gun at Annalise in the casket. And then I was just like, whoa, what is going on here? And then we switched to another scene where I was like, are they in heaven? Like, is she at AA in heaven? But we actually come to realize that she's at at rehab. And they were doing this funeral realization. And basically the point was to picture yourself at your funeral. And I guess they wanted to know like who was there, who attended, were they mad at you, whatever the case may be. And Annalise just feels like everybody wanted her dead. And I don't feel like that. I feel like Annalise is always super hard on herself. But I don't think that unless there's something that happens this season that we don't know nothing about. But we'll see. And then we get all the students pretty much at the house, you know, except for Gabriel, because, you know, he can't really be at the house like that while everything is going on. And they're wondering why Annalise left and why she's at rehab. And it's like, come on now. Y'all know Annalise has been through some shit with y'all. Like, I'm actually happy that she went to rehab. Like, and let them figure that shit out on their own. Like, she needed some help. Annalise has drinking problems, and after the season finale, that episode where Laurel gets snatched away while Annalise was talking to her on the street, and then her son Christopher is kidnapped from the house, Oliver's house, Oliver and Colin's house. And I was just like, okay, so we see how Annalise coped with that whole situation. And they almost killed my Annalise, okay? She has been through so much. Anyway, the FBI is still investigating them. So they didn't want to let the FBI know that Laurel is missing and Christopher is missing. And we also know that Emmett, which used to be Annalise's boss, Annalise and Teagan's boss, he like, I don't know, maybe he was poisoned last season, but basically we're thinking that the governor did it, but I'm thinking after this episode, I'm side-eyeing Teagan. Now, I love me some Teagan. She's gorgeous and I love her character, but she always been kind of shady to me, especially with that firm. So anyway, so everybody's blaming each other about the whole kidnapping and them being in the house. I can't remember everyone that was at the house at the time of the kidnapping, but yeah, like they're just blaming each other. And I don't know, whoever did it, they were swift and there was nothing they could do about it. And then we get Nate talking to Teagan about Emmett, and she says that she thinks that he was poisoned. I think Teagan was talking to Nate. But anyway, that made me side-eye her. Like, she was going hard for her friendship with Emmett. But like I said, I'm side-eyeing Teagan. Then Gabriel meets up with Michaela. And he's just like, why, you know, seems like you're ignoring me, you're ducking me. And she tries to throw him off. She's always trying to throw Gabriel off. First of all, let's just talk about Gabriel for a minute. Last season, I was sure he was up to some shit. And then with the whole FBI and him talking to them, And then we see, okay, he kind of was on our side for a minute, but I still don't trust him. So I kind of hate that Michaela got involved with him in the first place. And now it's just another person that you gotta lie to. Like, and he's all up in the mix. Like, and you see what he like snuck into Annalise's house last season and during the finale, if you remember. So I don't know. I'm not really feeling this whole Michaela and Gabriel thing. But it seems like they always want Michaela to have somebody to mess with. Anyway, Annalise is, at rehab, and she got this crazy roommate, Sally. That's annoying, by the way. And we see that Annalise curses her out later on in the episode. But during therapy, Annalise and her therapist talk. And there is a lot of things that Annalise beats herself up about. And some of them are warranted. But I think she goes a little bit too far with her issues or whatnot. And she feels like she's selfish. And sometimes you got to be selfish. I mean, with the group of kids that she's working with, it's a lot of work. Keeping up with them and being there for them, playing the mother role, playing the lawyer, like everything. Like, Annalise is she has a lot on her plate and always has. But the therapist tries to get through to her, and they also like meet up, her and a couple other people at the rehab, and they do this. They think of all the bad things about themselves, all these negative thoughts, and they're supposed to hit the pillow and just say that they're not whatever they're feeling about themselves. And Annalise wasn't really into it. Other people were really into it and really hitting the pillow, going hard, letting all their aggression out and letting go and trying to forgive themselves. But Annalise wasn't really with it. What else? So we also got Nate. Like, Nate is trying to figure out what happened with Emmett. He's hitting up Bonnie, and he's also investigating Teagan on the low. Like, he feels like something's up. I feel like something's up. So I'm kind of glad that he's on to Teagan and trying to figure out what's up. And he tries to get some information on who's doing the autopsy for Emmett through Bonnie. And then he goes meets with the guy, and he doesn't want the autopsy report to be tampered with by, I forget who he said. If you remember who, I think he said Birdhead or something like that. But basically, the guy was saying that they flew the body to London and they're doing an autopsy and everything over there. So there was nothing that he can do. I think it was Berghead was the name. So then Nate goes to see Teagan again and asks her about the body being transferred. And she's kind of like, saying that her hands was tied, like that didn't have nothing to do with her. And, she kind of kicks Nate out the office or out the firm or whatever. And we also get a scene where Teagan, like, she walks into her office and her name's up there as partner. And that's when I was just like, I think that Teagan knew something was going to happen to Emmett, or maybe she was the one who killed him or poisoned him so she could become partner, because she's always been trying to be like partner and just like the top head of that firm, like period. Like that seems to be always what her goal was. So I'm thinking like getting Emmett out the way is something that she always wanted. And she's super cool with Castillo? I don't know how to pronounce that last name. Castillo? Laurel's father. So we see that Nate ends up pulling up some information about that and sees that there's a lot of photo ops with her and Laurel's dad and them in Mexico. So I was like, yeah, it seems fishy. It seemed like Teagan is trying to play games, and I think she did have something to do with Emmett. If she didn't do it, she knew it was going to happen, or she assisted in it. That's what I think. Let me know what you guys think. Also, Frank and Oliver and Colin, they're trying to look for Laurel. And they're trying to use her phone, I believe, to see where it pings or whatever. I didn't think that was going to work, but they tried it anyway. And Frank, I forgot what Frank said to them, but basically Oliver lets Frank know that Laurel didn't really trust him around Christopher. And I think that really made him, sad, because he really, really did care about Christopher and Laurel. I think we've seen like the softest side of Frank when it comes to Laurel and Christopher. And to find out that she was asking Oliver and Colin to become the guardian of Chris, like, when did she make this decision? Like, I don't know. Like, did she know that she was going to do something? Like, Bonnie did tell Frank that she thinks that Laurel did this to herself. So I'm starting to think maybe that's the case. Because why would she have Colin and Oliver be potential guardians for Christopher? Like, something's really, really fishy. And we know Laurel got a crazy history. Her and her family has caused lots of problems. Also, Annalise curses out Sally. And Annalise, she's like really good at reading people and profiling people. So she read her for filth. And they have this breakthrough with each other because she's being nosy, Sally, talking about the phone and acting like she was going to snitch, and she said she's not going to snitch. But Annalise cursed her ass out. And then they have this breakthrough. And Annalise ends up telling her that they think that she killed her husband, but she covered it up. And I was just like, wow, really? You are telling this random woman? Now, with everything going on in the world and Tekashi's and everything, I'm just like, she could still be some type of snitch for the FBI. Like, don't forget the FBI is like still investigating you. So I don't know. I was just like, I wouldn't have told her that information. I know she like, the lady was like, she hate her kids and whatnot. And I'm like, that's cool, but you don't got to tell her your business now. But she did. And then Michaela goes over and hangs out with Gabriel and they have sex. And I'm just like, I don't want her having nothing to do with him. So I was like, well, maybe she went over there to kind of keep him at bay and whatnot. But I was just like, he's still really, really shady. And then we get a phone call from his mother. And finally, we hear a voice, because the last season, we did not hear her voice, if I'm not mistaken. So to hear her voice and then to see she's outside in the car, she's in town. So I'm like, wait a minute. She's like looking up at him through the window while she's talking to him. And I'm like, something ain't right. And her and Annalise got this situation when it comes to the ex-husband. And it seems like they're going to really try to dig up what happened to her husband. So I think that whole thing is going to come full circle this season because of Gabriel and his mother. So I'm just like, oh God. We're trying to find Laurel. We're trying to find Christopher. Well, we're not really trying to find him now. We get to the end of the episode, we're realizing that Annalise says that she wants to forget Laurel. And she makes all of them do the same little session that she did at the rehab, where they beat out all of negative things about themselves or whatnot. You know what I mean? Like the same thing she had the kids do, but what she wanted them to do was add Laurel in there and basically forget about her ass. And I was like, yes, finally. I'm so sick of Laurel and all her fucking problems. Like, Laurel annoys the shit out of me. Her family, they just cause too much stress, problems, unnecessary problems when it comes to Laurel. So let Laurel take care of herself, like Annalise said. What else do we have? So Annalise comes back in town. Like I said, she meets up with the kids and they beat all that shit out of them. And I was like, okay. Astor drops a bomb and tells Michaela that Annalise knows her father. Because, she was looking for adoptive parents for a while. Well, she's back into it. And we see that they decided to have the police come to the house and search for, they just let the police know that Laurel and what's her name was missing, Christopher. So I was like, wow. This was a really good episode for starters. Thanks for watching.